Hello and thank you for joining us today at Distracted by Life. Our podcast is all about making change within yourself and your relationships. We share conversations, stories, and explore ideas coming from our lifelong journey of the high points and especially the low points where we learn to face our fears or cope with pain, loss, and failure. We do this in a discovery quest to establish patterns around our past and understanding whether we are tripping up from our past or being held hostage by it. We work on identifying ways to move forward, aligning our core values, and unlocking the keys to self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-compassion, and letting go of what is not serving you positively in life. A better you is always there, ready to explore in a new world. So let's begin. Is your past tripping you up? Do you carry the past around that at times it keeps us from taking actions or perhaps not even taking any action at all? Do we allow it to make us risk-averse? As humans, we do fall every now and then, tripping on our past. I think as long as we're able to notice and acknowledge what's happening around us at that moment, then we can help to minimize the tripping. Today we discuss this topic with Amal and how it shows up in our lives. Perhaps you can relate to some of these insights as well. Hi, Amal, and welcome.
Hi, Dan. Glad to be here. Shall we jump right into it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So here's the truth about letting our past trip in us. We end up living on the memories instead of living life in the moment as it presents itself. As Tony Robbins says, if we want to experience joy, we need to live in the moment. We are not experiencing life, we are experiencing our mind. Too often, actually, in life, we are not present. We're always on autopilot, at least most time. I know I've had many times where I kind of went back and fall to that autopilot mode. We are not in the present with how things are or how people are in the now when we revert back to our autopilot. If we want to give ourselves a gift, we actually need to learn to come back into the present moment. Learn how to experience life instead of remembering it. Our world and the stress of technology and everything else constantly triggering us to live reality and wanting us to escape somewhere else. But the only real moment, it's the right here and right now. So everything or anything else is something that we made up about the future, or it's a memory, and even memories can be negative and biased. So we can't really rely on them and recall them because all we do is we're going to make decisions based on those memories, based on past experiences. I am the first one to admit that I have carried the past around like a perfect little black purse filled with stories. It took me a while to actually build the awareness and acknowledge and understand that's what I was doing, judging situations and people in my life based on and also making decisions based on past experience, often not serving me well actually, and clouding my judgment and my view, only seeing it one way versus having the openness and living in the moment instead of living in the memory of a similar situation that happened in the past that left a sour taste in my mouth. What does your experience have been, Dan? Do you see it as such also in some areas of your life, having the past tripping you or even sabotaging your effort into living in the present moment?
I'd have to say, not quite the little black purse, but a little black wallet. I've been carrying it around. That's for sure. But, why do you think we get stuck in the past?
I think many of us get stuck in the past because we have this need for certainty. It's a human need, and it's fundamentally about survival. We need to feel certain about things. If we can avoid pain and ideally kind of find a comfort in our lives, then we're good to go. Letting go of the past also means stepping into some unknown territory. Like that means you're letting go of something that you're so used to, and now you have to step into something you know nothing about. So that's part of what tugs into the human need of wanting certainty. It means having actually the courage to let go of what is familiar, even if it was negative, and being vulnerable enough to embrace and learn from what's ahead. The other reason I think would be also difficult is about learning to let our past go is It has to do with the way we link emotion to information. This is because we do not retain information that does not have feelings attached to it. That's because information with emotions makes a long-lasting impression. So when there is still emotion tied to a memory, moving on from the past becomes increasingly difficult for those who are biologically predisposed to gather. And I was one of those people.
Well, me too. I hated math. I have zero emotion to math. Hated it in school. Okay, but what is this costing us? How do we move forward in a healthier, happier way?
Well, what's costing us is we end up being stuck and we can't move on. And most time we keep going on a vicious cycle, asking ourselves why this is happening to me. Why me? Sound familiar here?
Very much so.
What I learned over time that helped me slowly to put the past behind me and drop the heavy luggages that I was carrying or empty that little black purse slowly is there are a few things to mention and actually worth practicing. And hopefully the audience find it actually helpful. The first one, which is a must, is turn letting go of the past into a practice, a must that you actually have to do. Because the first step is to acknowledge what's holding you back and think about how or why you must move on. What exactly would be holding you back? Or what are you holding on to? Once you identify what you're holding on to, ask yourself, what are the reasons you absolutely move beyond this? And how will your life change when you learn how to move from the past and look forward? This is one of the most important parts of the process because it helps you stay committed to letting go of the past. It gives you a clear sense of purpose, which is essential to establishing any goal. When your purpose actually serve as an emotional drive for when it would help you actually when you feel like you're giving up. You eventually, obviously, you're going to face setbacks and challenges. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. It will always happen. It's about actually training yourself and making a commitment with a purpose that you will always make sure that you let the past go and not live in it. But if you have that strong enough reason and the purpose that drives you, you will actually stay focused and dedicated into the process. The second one would be...
So hang on a second. So you're saying we still remember the past, we acknowledge the past, but we see it for what it is, but it's time to move on.
Yes. The most important thing is that when you remember the past, ask yourself, why is it holding you back? And what do you like to do with it? Okay. You want to obviously you don't want to be in that place every single time. So you have to learn to let go. You got to find out what story you're holding on, and you're going to work through it so you can bounce back. And when you have a purpose and a reason, it will give you that emotional drive to stay in the process, as I mentioned, without giving up. The other one is to identify your emotional habits. This is a really, really good one because identifying your emotional habit is the most challenging part of letting go of the past. It requires deep introspection. How do you live your life? What are your limiting beliefs? Where do you live emotionally? That is totally where you need to start digging.
It's not easy.
No, it's not. And when you grow accustomed to certain emotions, even the negative ones, you don't actually notice them and you don't notice how they affect your life daily.
You build up over time.
Yeah. You don't realize that you are stuck in a negative emotional loop either because you're so used to it. You believe that you're just reacting just like everyone else in any given situation. But our unique emotional habits can actually have a profound influence on the way we look at life and the way we act and how good we are at moving from the past. So why settle? Instead, I say, instead of making a space for a negative emotion to take up real estate, how about empowering the positive ones? Again, I'm not saying it's an easy process, but it is a process and a transformation where you're meant to stay and practice daily and put in the work. Identifying your emotional habit starts with actually a shift towards a more positive experience. Your emotions are like a muscle. You can train them. You can train them if you want to feel frustrated, sad, stressed, or depressed after a challenging situations arises, basically you can actually stay there. But you can also train yourself, your emotions to feel passion, to feel joy, to feel happiness, to feel strong. Even when something bad happened in your life, when you take charge of your emotions, you learn how to let go of the past in a way that makes you lighter and freer instead of fearful. When you catch yourself actually falling into this negative emotion habit or emotional loop, which we all do, work to cut the thought out. Try to switch gears and try to think and condition yourself into more of looking for the good, looking for the positive, even when the situation itself was actually negative. The more wired those emotions can become, the more you adapt to any situation thrown at your way. So I want to make this clear. I'm not saying discredit negative emotions and the bad things that happen, shrug them and all that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you acknowledge them, you see what the emotional hold that it had on you, and then you work through it to replace it or to condition your mind into looking overall. When you take that negative situation overall, I am pretty sure you would at least find one good thing came out of the negative situation. One good thing. So that leads me to conditioning your mind. The ultimate breakthrough in life happened actually by learning those strategies, developing empowering stories, and ensuring that you are in the right state of mind to move forward. To do this, you actually, again, must condition your mind every single day. As I mentioned, it's a daily practice. So you can't just try it 1 or 2 days or a week or 30 days and say, it's not working for me. Guess what? You will not be able to see the progress that quick. If you're looking for a quick fix, then transformation is not your path, because transformation is not a quick fix. And that goes for breakthroughs as well. If you don't take the time to examine and change your habits, life starts to happen to you instead of for you. So no matter how smart, how savvy, how inspired, how strong, if you don't stand guard, protecting the gates to your mind, then you allow room for what's going to disempower you and keep you disconnected. Instead, focus on how to let go of the path, and you will find yourself distracted by, instead of focusing on actually how to let go of the past, you will find yourself distracted by these thoughts that keep coming up and rooted in negative patterns. So tell yourself empowering stories instead of the limiting ones, the ones that says, I can't do this, or I took this on and I failed. I'm not trying this to embarrass myself. Those are the story that we tell ourselves when we want to talk ourselves out of doing something that is hard or we think is embarrassing. There are other stories that we tell ourselves when something is really hard and we know it requires a lot of time and effort into it, but we keep saying, what's the point? I can't lose this weight, or I'm far deep gone. There is no one is far gone in the dark or in the deep end. Every soul is meant to be actually saved. The question is, do you want the saving? Do you want the change? Do you want the transformation? Feed your mind with a new knowledge and positivity. The more you educate yourself and you prepare yourself and empower yourself, your confidence, your self-esteem, and everything else will rise up. You will feel it. You will step into it. It'll be effortless for you. Surround yourself with people who make you better and put yourself in a peak state. This is important one for me. It took me time to realize I don't have to have the biggest personality in the room, and I don't have to have a bunch of group of friends. I literally can count the number of friends on my fingers. And they were so many in the past, and they're all gone. Because in the end, to have the right people in your life, the people that actually your biggest fan, they're not going to be 10, 20, or 30, or 50. They will be very, very few. Work on cultivating a thriving state of mind and well-being. And that has basically gonna take us to the fourth one that I want to mention, which is creating empowering rituals. What do I mean by that? Letting go of the past isn't easy. We agreed on that. So empowering ritual can actually help cultivate that thriving mental state and well-being. There is a reason that the most successful people in the world establish daily routines. And that those daily routines look like journaling, going for a run, meditation, exercise, learning new things, whatever, reading books, whatever that ritual for different people. It's the small ritual that you do every day that build momentum and lead to massive change. So again, it drives the point that if you think you're looking for quick things, that's not gonna happen. You're actually in the wrong room then. Practicing gratitude actually is another good habit, which I do on a daily basis actually, as soon as before I started anything in the morning. It helps you live in the moment and instead of the past. And to start a gratitude journal or a practice during the morning meditation is perfect. This is, again, as I mentioned, what I do in the morning. I actually journal. I do my gratitude practice, and then I do meditation every day, every single day. Think about all that you have to be grateful for in your current life. And when you sit, I do remember some days when I sit and do the gratitude practice, and I have to think about 3 things that I'm grateful for. Early in the morning, I wake up and I'm doing this. Some days it doesn't come naturally to me, and some days it just flows right away what those 3 things are. And that on the days that it doesn't come naturally to me, it tells me I have to be guarded that day because my mental state is not at its optimum, and I gotta find out why and how to put it in that place so I can meet the day. Realize that everything happened in the past. What made you the person you are now, today, a strong, powerful person who can bounce back from anything. When you love your life and you love yourself, it's easier to let go of the past. The 5th one I want to talk about is shifting your focus. So much pain in our life is because we want to control things. And the other part we got to understand is that we can't control other people, how they feel or act. But we can definitely control our own actions. And sometimes we think that circumstances that actually that happen, we think it's like a mysterious force that came about. But it really as a result of our own decision. We could actually turn the negatives into positive, the setbacks into opportunities, the failure into lessons. All we need to do is accept that the only thing we can control, as I mentioned, our own actions and decisions. So when we shift the focus away from other people and events outside of our control, we can't go back in time to fix a bad childhood, but we can realize that, as Tony Robbins says, your past does not equal your future. Every day is a chance to start over. So from the minute you wake up in the morning and you make those choices, learning how to let go of the past means breaking those patterns and focusing on creating a life that you love and you deserve, and not dwelling on something that happened in the past or dwelling on the life you used to have. Teach yourself to be in the present. That's huge when it comes to mindfulness. Is you actually have to shift your focus to be more mindful of the present. Remember that the present moment is the only time that matters. So the future doesn't exist. It's in your imagination because it didn't happen yet. It's not real. And the past only exists in your memory. And memories can be tainted and can be biased and negative and so on. The only thing that is real is what's happening right now. And that's why there is actually nothing more powerful than actually a human soul rooted in the present moment, free from all the past or the future, just free-spirited, living in the moment. So teach yourself to be present. And if you want more joy and fulfillment and happiness, then you need to engage with life right now, away from the phone screens and the technologies and the laptops and anything that would distract you and try to take you away from the reality you are escaping or wanting to escape because you maybe somehow don't like your life. So stop giving to temptations and that would transport you away, and bring your attention to the this moment, the right now, and take a stock of what's beautiful, because there are some in the least expected places and things and people. There is a beautiful something out there. The biggest key to how to forget the past is to stop living there in the past.
It's funny you mentioned that. Teach yourself to be present and take time off and go offline and off grid. When I go for walks, a lot of the times I'll have a podcast going or something, listening in my earbuds. But then I realized I didn't get away. I went for a walk, but I didn't get away mentally. So I literally shut it off. And I just look at the trees, look at the ground, look at the sky, just enjoy the moment. So it's not necessarily, tossing the technology away, but taking breaks and going off the grid for a while really, really helps. Less distracting.
It's true. And kind of there are people who are addicted to social media and technology, and they can't just put it down. People who complain about they can't help but to answer work emails 7 days a week, anytime. Really? How is it? Is it urgent to the point? Are you in a life-saving industry where your response to an email is so required? Otherwise, if you don't actually respond to that email, someone is going to die.
Well, generally not over email. If it were that important, there'd be a phone call or something.
So the reality is, how do we teach our society, the people we work with, our colleagues, our family, to take a break, to slow down and stop pulling and pushing for the attention of and being in autopilot, and that feeling of you want to proving to be worthy is that you gotta be connected 24/7 because you gotta show that you are on it. I'm on it. It's hard. There are a lot of people, even when you try to do that yourself, that training and that conditioning, when let's say you are among people that your work colleagues or in your workplace, to try to bring that mindfulness is very, very hard, because it's a cultural influence that has to start from the top and trickles down, and it becomes that culture that cares about the well-being of the employees and their staff, and how everyone can disconnect and leave work at work and be with their family. That takes me to work on your personal growth. There is no better time actually than to work on your personal growth. When you want to learn how to move on from the past, focusing on learning and improving is not only a distraction from negative thought, it's also empowering actually. Take this time to figure out what it means for you. What does that mean for you? What does it look like? Once you identify areas you want to work on, you can actually pinpoint the obstacles you might face and kind of think about assembling tools that you need to help you succeed. As you gather those kind of tools that would help you to succeed, consider working maybe with a coach during your personal growth journey, because they will help you to stay in the journey, and they will provide that more tools and strategy that will help you get there.
Help you set realistic goals.
The thing is that you can do this alone, and it will take you obviously a lot longer time, because you have to do the research and see what's worth it, where you want to invest your money or dollars and things like that, or work with a coach that actually knows and have the experience of what works and different programs and different coaching models that would work for people, for their clients. So it's a choice you make. Surround yourself with positive people. So if you ask yourself what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't, it's not actually the time or the skill they put into it. It's knowing how to use the law of attraction to get what they want. So when you know what to focus on, you feel much better, right? And what you focus on, if it's positive, you feel positive. The energy you put into the world, into the universe, is what you get back. So if you put back a negative energy and a self-defeated belief, that's what you're going to keep getting back over and over and over. The law of attraction, everyone knows it. And who you surround yourself with is who you become. So letting go of the past is much more difficult if you're around people who actually constantly remind you about it and about the bad things. And the ones, misery, love company, those are the makes it difficult for you to move on. When you put the theory of actually pure evaluation to work in your life, you surround yourself with positive people who are committed to your growth and progress and happy for you. And you'll find it much easier to share with them your successes and your progress, and easier to move on because they believe in you and they're so proud of your accomplishments or your progress that you made. When you have people in your life that are not in the same stage, it's hard for them to relate to you, and it's hard, and vice versa. So you question the friendship, right? And then you end up thinking, you start distancing yourself
from the negative talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one you can think about that's also have a positive impact is giving back. To understand how to let go of the past, finding yourself serving, right? That is a greater purpose than yourself. For your family, for your community, for humanity, motive that does matter. So find motives that goes beyond yourself. No matter how stuck or broke or whatever sadness you feel, you will have something to share with others, even if it's something as common as just a smile or just listening to someone. When you finally realize that the secret to living is giving, your life will improve drastically and you will be able to move from the past. Life matters. And if you align yourself with the truth that you are here, not just to get, but to also give to other people, you will feel your authenticity and open up, and they will feel actually close and open up to you as well. So thinking, when you align yourself with the truth and you open yourself up and you understand that it's not about just getting, but also about giving and caring for others, these very same others, people, will see your authenticity and be able to open up to you. Giving back will remind you of what you're made of. So focusing on the need of others as a way of empowering you to do more than you actually thought possible. Sometimes there are people that I know, for example, I'm one of them, who finds a lot of joy by giving other people, but giving specifically thoughtful gifts that are very thoughtfully selected. You would feel the benefit of immediately when you do that, and you become grounded in the moment. You become more productive and you will find creative solution to problems you're facing. You will find strength even when you're exhausted, because there is something from the inside filling you up. And you will learn how to let go of the past and step forward into a future that is more loving, more compassionate, and in a more conscientious way. Well, so that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you found this episode helpful. Until next time, wishing you all be all beautiful souls. Well, much love. Back to you, Dan.
Thanks, Amal. And thank you all for joining us here at Distracted by Life. If you're interested to learn more, check out our podcasts, of course, or hop online at Amal's website at amalcandido.com, where she talks about her coaching world covering life, leadership, and mindfulness, including links to popular podcasts and to her books as well. And with that said, stay tuned for our next episode. And from Amal and myself, thanks again, and talk to you soon.